Hello everyone. Welcome one, welcome all. My name is Shashank, and I run this live stream every Thursday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time in order to answer whatever questions you might have about the world of analytics and data science. All right, so let's increase the brightness over here. Sorry about being so late today. I had to go get some coffee and everything. As per usual, I got up a little bit late. But welcome. All right, we got Karen here. We got No Arms James. Hey, No Arms James, great to see you. I think I'll be seeing you later today too. I launched the boot camp later today, so I think I'll be seeing you later. John Salati, Namananda, Jackie B, Oscar Wanzala, Wei Hung. Oh, great to see you again, Wei Hung. Amir Hossein Kiani, great to see you again too. And Uzodinma Okafor, great to see you. Good morning. All right, so what do we have over here? What questions do we have? So, Kieran, in which projects, in which data analyst industry, or in which job role in data analyst, I'll get enough time for UPSC IAS guard. So I don't work in India, so I don't know. I can't answer very specific questions about anything to do with India. My understanding is IAS means Indian Administrative Services, so I apologize. I can't answer those questions because I barely know what the IAS is. So I was born and raised in the United States, so my education's mostly over here. All right, Trevor Bushnell, college student here, been lurking in your streams for a while, but now that I'm on the East Coast, I can watch and engage. Your content is amazing. Keep up the great work. That's awesome to hear. It's awesome to hear. Where in the East Coast are you, if you don't mind me asking? Chirag, of course, I love doing this. Angel or Angel, great to see you. Welcome to the stream. James, great to hear it. Jonathan O. Amir Hossein Kiani. Shashank, do you think investing in and tapping into the financial analyst positions feasible with no official education in the field? Yes, it's definitely feasible. If you want to move up in financial, like in the finance field, you probably will need a a specific higher education of some kind. But there's really no reason you can't break into it. I know a couple of people that have broken into the field without what I would call particularly relevant educations, i.e., they don't have a business degree. Petra, Karen, welcome. Wei Hong, have you worked with anyone total opposite time zone before? So when you say total opposite, I'm guessing you mean so I'm in the United States, so that would be basically anyone from India, for example, right? Yes. So I actually, back at my previous company, I was leading development on a product that we were creating, and the India team was actually developing the features for it. And it was a very interesting experience because it's they're like cultural different. I mean, I'm from an Indian family, but there's still like cultural differences in understanding. Probably the biggest one was accents. I can understand a lot of Indian accents, but in India, the accents you encounter for English there's a huge array of them. So we actually had on those calls we actually kind of got it to where one person would be the central communication guy, and I would basically go through him to make sure that we were all on the same page for everything. So I would talk to everyone directly, but he would always be there to make sure that okay, we're all on the same page here, right? So I say when you're working with someone on the opposite time zone, early morning meetings are very common. Late at night meetings can be occasionally common, depending on how much time you want to spend on it, right? And the what else would I say? Accents can be something that can be a little bit difficult to deal with sometimes. So I've had the experience. It was very interesting. I do miss doing that. It was fun. Because the India team would also get stuff done really fast. And as long as you gave them very clear instructions, then stuff would get done precisely, accurately, and quickly. So it was really cool to have that level of rigor put into things, which was really cool because I working on both sides of the Atlantic, right? Or I wouldn't say both sides of the Atlantic. It's a cool experience. Definitely a cool experience. Trevor Bushnell, South Carolina. I live and study in Spokane. Just up here a few weeks to visit grandparents. Cool. What are you studying? Sunyata. I'm 30 years old. I'm a financial analyst now. I'm starting to learn data analytics. What do you think my chances will be to be successful in this field? I think quite successful. What I always tell people who are experienced, so they have like experience in another field, especially financial analysis is a really important one. Make sure that you talk about your experience whenever and use your experience to your advantage. Don't go into the field like an entry-level candidate. Make sure that you're going in as an experienced candidate. That way you're not losing years and years of progress. Especially financial analysis, like while it is different, there are some shared skills. I would say your biggest, the most important things you'll have to do is you'll need to improve your technical skills most likely. I found financial analysts typically don't have great technical skills, like the ability to code, SQL, stuff like that. They're really good at Excel. And then maybe even like VBA, but again, when you're working with big enough data, Excel and VBA just don't cut it. So I would recommend that. We got some really interesting questions here. Okay, cool. Trevor Bushnell also questioned, do you know anything about self-sovereign identity and have any ideas for data projects in the industry? I don't know it was an industry. It's self-sovereign. Is that like the sovereign citizen thing? Or is that different? And if so, how is it an industry? So would you be able to explain what it is? Studying applied mathematics at Gonzaga. Cool. Nice stuff. Jason, welcome. Trevor Lane. Okay, so I'll answer this question and I'll go from there. How bad is the DA salary? So I guess, everything's taken in comparison, right? Like if you compare basically anyone's salary to how much a doctor or a corporate lawyer make, then all of our salaries kind of suck, right? So we got to take it in comparison. So I'm going to compare it only with other, I guess, tech salaries and data. Well, we'll compare it with data salaries at first, right? So in the data science world, right, you kind of have 4 different positions that people could be in. Well, I mean, I guess like 5 if you include the ML stuff, right? So you have, what do you call it? You have business. You have business intelligence. You have data analysis. You have data science, data engineering, and all the ML related fields. So like ML ops, ML engineer, all that stuff, right? In all of those, what do you call it? Of all of those professions, right? I would say about the lowest paid are going to be the BI and data analysts for sure. That doesn't mean they're poorly paid. That just means they're the lowest paid. The highest paid people are going to be the data engineers, the data scientists, and the machine learning people. And I guess you have BI engineers. BI engineers are like, I'd say they're kind of between like kind of like a data scientist and like pay grade maybe depending on the company. But looking at that, what I would say is a data analyst in the United States can make anywhere from like in Dallas, Texas, my first job, I was making $55,000 in 2018 as a data analyst. Then I started making $83,000, and those numbers would be higher today. I would say as a senior data analyst, making $150,000 in like the Seattle, Bay Area, New York is not out of the question, honestly. But in order to advance from there, you kind of have to go into management. Like you could become a principal analyst and stuff like that. But you're probably better off becoming a management type, because I'd say the biggest problem with data analysts, like getting into that principal or staff position, is just the lack of positions. So hopefully that's helpful. I would say the pay is not bad at all. There are so many factors that go into the pay. Levels.fyi has really great information that I find quite accurate for the United States, so I'd recommend that. All right, so Namananda. Is showcasing projects on a resume through GitHub page more impressive than getting badges and certificates on HackerRank and LeetCode? I would say por qué no los dos, like as in why not both? But yes, I would be more impressed at someone who did projects, because LeetCode and HackerRank don't test the skills that one needs to be a good data analyst, in my opinion. So projects are a lot better. John Salati. Hi, Shashank. Recently took a technical assessment for SQL heavy data analyst role. Appreciate your SQL course, day in the life video. Thank you. I'm so happy. That's my SQL course should be enough for people to pass almost any SQL exam given to them by a company. I guess you could get a really advanced, you could get one where they ask you to like build tables and stuff like that, and I don't really cover that in that course, but yeah, I mean, anything else should be covered. Also, everyone be on the lookout. I have a course in R coming out. I know I've said that for a while, but I actually am working on it right now, and I hope to record it this weekend so I can release it next week. So make sure to stay tuned in for that. Also, if you haven't already, make sure you like the live stream. It's a great way to support the channel, show that you care, and show YouTube that we're doing good stuff over here. Wow. Okay, so I have my coffee over here. It's too hot to drink, so. Benaya Willie, I have no basic skills in R, BI, SQL, and code. Any free resources to learn the data science? So, like I mentioned in the, so you'll see it's like the first line in the description. Check here prior to answering your question. Like the second line after that is my roadmap, Data Analyst roadmap, where I have free resources to all those skills that you were talking about, except for R. I'm working on my R course. Okay, next question. Tanmay Harwani. Hi, Shashank, does a data analyst research position relevant to building block for a data analyst? What's a data research analyst position? Are you using SQL and are you using Python? I would say that's kind of like a rough way to say, like, okay, are you building up the core skills you need for an entry-level position? Obviously, as you get older in your career, right, you'll want to build up different skills and everything, but to start off with, I'd say those are kind of the skills that are make it easy for you to differentiate yourself from other employees. Okay, Daniel. Hi, how do you store your data if you only have around 20 columns and 10,000 rows? I find SQL overkill for this task. Oh yeah, CSV for sure. I store it as a CSV. I would normally say store it as a .pickle file, actually. So if you're using Python, store it as a pickle file. And you're the only one that'll be working on it, because pickle files will store like data types and stuff like that, which is really cool. Now the only problem is pickle files are not really transferable between versions of Python. So if you created it in one version of Pandas, and then you want to load it in another version of Pandas, it won't actually work. Or it won't necessarily work. So CSVs are the most standard way to store data. If you're talking about data that small, then definitely a CSV. A SQL would be way overkill for that. If you check the link in the description of the previous video I had out, I actually have a sponsor I work with, DeepNote, that lets you use SQL on CSVs, which is pretty cool. So I like using that. Trevor Lane, would it be worth going into software engineering for the increased salary? So software engineers make the most money in the industry for sure, hands down. If you work at Facebook in, like one of the higher paid offices as an E5 engineer, right? So like that's a senior engineer, 5 years of experience. You'll make 196 base, 150 in stock, and 15% bonus, right? So that's what? That's like almost $400,000 in total compensation. Except for like a data engineer, data scientist position, or like, ML, you're not really getting close to that with anything else. So I would say, yeah, if the only thing you care about is money, then yeah, you should be doing a software engineering position. That's it. They make the most money. They make the most money and have the most positions available, is what I would say. That being said, I think that there are other things to consider as well. Do you really want to work in software engineering? It's not a field that lends itself very easily to being worked in if you don't want to work in it. Like a lot of high-paying jobs. I guess it's better than like law and medicine, where you're really just trapped in this one thing you can't get out of. But I don't know. I mean, is it worth going into something to make more money? That's entirely based on the individual, right? Some people care about that, some people don't. And caring about that is not at all a problem, right? Maybe you need to, it helps you take care of your family. There's all kinds of stuff it can help you out with. So, yeah. All right, let us see what the next question was. Sven. Oh, hey, Sven. Is that a reference to the architecture firm from How I Met Your Mother? For anyone wondering, I'm a huge How I Met Your Mother fan, and I'm on like my 9th watch through right now. So we're working through that at the moment. Just wanted to thank you for your guidance and advice as I've started a data analyst role. Appreciate the work you do. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad that you got a job. Jessica Dell. All I do in my data analyst internship is clean Excel and make Power BI dashboards. What other things should I suggest doing to my manager that a full-time analyst would be doing? Work with a lot of SQL. Ask them if you can start pulling data and cleaning data using SQL instead. Python would be the last priority in my opinion, but sometimes it's easiest to ask people for work in because it's a very versatile language. You can do all kinds of stuff inside it. Tevin Heath. Hi, Shang. $70,000 a year straight out of undergrad and data analyst, business analyst, pretty good. Yeah. It depends on where you're living. Where do you live? Because that is, it depends on where you live, right? Because that drastically changes how much $70,000 is. Legend, wait for it, dairy. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. But the more I watch it, the more I'm like, it's actually genuinely impressive how much energy Barney Stinson puts into like everything he does at that age. But yeah, Tevin, where are you working? Because if you're working in some locations of the United States, that's very good. If you're working in other parts of the United States, you should be looking for more. So Canada. Oh, okay, wait. So 70,000 Canadian dollars, right? I think that's good. My understanding, so my basic understanding is like for people that go into Canada from the United States is that like you're immediately looking at 20% off your salary. So let's see, 70,000 US or Canadian dollars to USD. That is 54,000 US dollars. Yeah, depending on where you are, that's a solid starting salary. I think you could ask for more, quite honestly. Maybe. Again, I'm not sure about the Canadian market, and depends on where you live. Yeah, Canadian comp is about 20% lower, is my understanding in the tech industry. But obviously, there's so many features. Well, yeah, I guess features that like determine how much you'll get paid. Anurag, thank you so much. Hi, I'm doing the Google Data Analyst course from Coursera with your video sequel and interview prep. Will it land me my first job as a data analyst? I believe so. That and a lot of preparation. I mean, that's really all you need, in my opinion, to get started. So, all right. So, next question. Learning data. Do you have a YouTube channel? I feel like I've seen your YouTube channel somewhere. I don't see it, but okay, learning data. What's your question? Hey Shashank, hope you're doing well. I would like to know if you've ever come across ML/AI in the mobile gaming or mobile apps domain. Mobile apps, yes. Mobile gaming, no. So at my previous company, I actually worked as it was a senior data analyst position, but I was really like heading development for a certain product. And yes, we did use a couple of ML, like rudimentary ML algorithms inside it. It's a rich field for sure. So, John Salati. Also, I have a question about tech assessments for interviews. Is there a specific function knowledge that you feel is required for being successful when taking an assessment? John Salati, would you be able to change up that question a little bit? Trevor Bushnell, industry might have not been the right word, more concept or product. Wait, so Trevor Bushnell, is that the concept, like the whole sovereign citizen thing, where people think that that they don't have to follow the like rules of the country they are physically in? Chris Kennedy, welcome, welcome, welcome. Ajinkya Kamble, are there coding rounds in the interview process? Depends on the company. I always do coding in whenever I give interviews for data analysts. Not for entry level. Entry level, again, we're always more concerned about how much energy the person has, how willing they are to learn. The worst thing you can get is a college student who thinks they know everything. Yeah, because the worst thing you get is a college student who thinks they know everything. Because unfortunately, and I feel bad for them, right? At the end of the day, they got an education in a specific thing, like it's not an illogical thing to think, but they come out with basically no real world experience, and the ones that are most willing to learn are the ones that we end up hiring. But yes, in any position above an entry level, I do test for coding knowledge. Which I would say can make it kind of difficult to find candidates sometimes, because candidates seem to be a little bit surprised that we test for that. But then I'm also like, wait, but then how are you supposed to manipulate data and stuff? So I would be prepared if I were you. Learning data. Could you tell us a bit more about ML/AI projects? ML/AI projects in the mobile apps domain, if you don't mind. Yes. Okay. So when you have a machine learning project and you're, you want to actually use it for the ML, like in the mobile apps domain, right? Usually what you're using it for, it could be for any number of things, right? But usually one of the major use cases is you want to use it to group your users. Self-sovereign identities were verifiable credit and digital completely in your control rather than housed. Oh, interesting. So Trevor Bushnell, that's a really interesting concept that I've wanted to research more into, but no, I don't really know much about it. That's a really cool idea, though. It's part of the general kind of blockchain space, right? It's kind of where this interest comes from, or is it completely separate from that? Because that would be really cool. But sorry, learning data. To get back to your question, what I would say is you're usually using ML and AI to Sunath right here to segment your users in some way, basically to have some effect on your users, right? So for us, what we were trying to do is we were trying to use it to group our users, to cluster our users into certain areas. So we would use a KNN model, right? And whenever you deploy an algorithm, you have to kind of deploy it in steps. What you'll do is you'll start off with a very simple algorithm, right? Like a linear regression or something, and kind of build up from there. And the reason you do that, right, is so that when you deploy your algorithm, if, for example, a certain algorithm stops working because the training data set got bad or doesn't really work, then you can kind of backtrack to previous algorithms that you've used, right? There is a great podcast that I think you should listen to. JP Morgan. I'll see if I can find it, but it's a great podcast on done by Daliana Liu where she interviews a Chase person, someone who works at Chase, or not Chase Manhattan, JP Morgan Chase, and they kind of go over all of this. I'm trying to see if I can find it somewhere. Oh, whoops. What happened? No, I can't really find it. But go to Daliana Liu's podcast and see if you can find anything from a JP Morgan Chase data scientist. He kind of goes over this stuff really well. Trevor Bushnell, cool stuff. Okay, Ishita Sadhukan. How to bring a personal project to an interview when they ask a data question and make it sound interesting. Okay, well, I kind of just ram it in there, and it doesn't have to be smooth and as long as it's not completely unrelated, as long as there's some kind of a transition into it, I think you're fine. It doesn't have to be too smooth, in my opinion. In my opinion, in an interview, you're kind of responsible for making sure what you need to communicate gets out there. And what I would say is make sure you don't do it all at the end of the interview. Make sure you space it out between the interview or get it in as early as possible. That way, if they want to ask you more questions, then they can. So yeah, that's what I would say. So for example, when I ask what I do prior to an interview is I'll actually create a Notion page, right, where I list out a lot of basic questions that are asked in interviews, and then I will list out a list of 4 or 5 projects that I've done, and then tie each question to a project in some way, shape, or form. And then I make sure to answer very slowly. That way I can look at my Notion page and answer them at the same time. And I even tell the interviewer sometimes, I'm like, hey, I have some notes on the side over here, just helps me stay on topic sometimes. So I would say have like notes on the side, predict what questions will be asked beforehand, and then write those down. And then, plug in your projects to those questions. I'll probably do a video on like preparing for an interview one day. John Salati, yes, I'm sorry, haha. For entry-level SQL, if you're a hiring manager, what are specific functions are needed for a good hire? Oh, okay. That makes way more sense. Okay. So John Salati, I would say window functions might be a little bit overkill for an entry-level position. At least for me, I didn't learn window functions for a while until I was into SQL. I would say for an entry-level position, as long as you're willing to teach the people, select, grouping, filtering, aggregations, I would just test for that stuff. And then joins, maybe joins. If they don't get the joins, it's not the end of the world. So test for those things. Whichever candidate performs the best on those series of things, I would hire, and I would just teach the rest. Because the good thing about entry-level candidates is they have so much energy to learn. Because you should be testing for that. And honestly, if they don't want to learn, then just let them go. Because again, they're entry-level candidates; they don't cost that much. And it may sound harsh, but the way I see it is like, as an entry-level candidate, you have a responsibility to want to learn. And in my opinion, the employer has a responsibility to teach you as well. That's kind of my take on it. A lot of people will know my kind of take on corporate culture is there's this amazing video that kind of talks about this stuff the exact way I would want to. It's called How Money Works. And this guy is a former investment banker that basically just has a lot of great... he's a former investment banker that has a lot of great takes on just how finance in the world works, in my opinion. So I would recommend everyone watch this video at some point in time. Basically, he talks about... it's about AntiWork, but not really. If anyone knows me, you'll know that I think AntiWork's completely silly. But I think that there are some great criticisms in the movement. Like a lot of things, right? Like a lot of movements that go very far to the extreme. I think the criticisms are very legitimate, and I think that there's a lot of great criticisms there, but the movement itself is very silly. But this guy has a really great take on it, where what he says is, as an employee, you should treat yourself as a company, and the thing you're selling is your time. And by doing that, that doesn't just mean you're going to be going for the biggest paycheck every single time, but that you'll be going and looking for companies that respect you, are easy to work with, stuff like that. I believe that the relationship between employer and employee most ideally is not purely based on cash, and is also based on like learning and mutual respect and stuff like that. And you should be looking for that in your career. All right, let's go back to answering questions in order. Angel or Angel, may a degree specific question, but I have a physics BS and was wondering if I should get an MS in physics. End goal is to work as a data scientist. Been out of school for 1 year with 0 work experience. If you want to become a data scientist, I don't know if physics is the best degree to go get. It's definitely not a bad one. Probably there are data science degrees right now. There are data science masters right now. Have you thought about one of those? Amir Hussein, started reading the Storytelling with Data book. Pretty cool stuff. Awesome. It is a great book. Kieran, at least tell me, are any suitable projects for data analyst industry or companies where I'll get enough time exam preparation after working hours? I would suggest going on to Kaggle and doing a lot of stuff over there, quite honestly. If you want like pre-written projects for you, go to Kaggle. I would also say, the thing is, the danger with using Kaggle data sets and doing everything off of Kaggle is that you will show someone a project that they've already seen. Like I've had someone present to me a Titanic project that they did like on the Titanic data set, and I was like, dude, like, come on, everyone's done this. Do something original. Do something different. And the reason that's important, right, is because I have no idea if their code is original, because like it's the Titanic project. Like everything that can be done with the Titanic dataset has been done. It's a really great place to just start off building up your skills. But if you don't do something original and the interviewer has seen that project before, or seen that dataset before, there's a decent chance that they'll be like, I can't verify that this is at all original work. Now, if you use a data set from Kaggle that is less known, you could totally do it in a way that it's like, oh, like this is probably original. Like this, you know, I'll take the leap that it is. So I would recommend that. Automobile Freak. Hello, Shashank. I'm working in cloud infrastructure domain in good MNC. MNC, multinational corporation, right? I'm looking to changing my domain to data analyst. How can I do that? If I switch, will I be considered a fresher? So what do you do in cloud infra? I would say you could totally switch into an experience position. We've hired people who come in from like IT and from the cloud, and we don't hire them as freshers. I would say really build your coding experience and your SQL experience. If you can really slam in those two things, then you're good to go. Danielle Ali, appreciate the live streams. I'm applying for Georgia Online Master's Analytics Program. They're a bunch of nice. Hey, so I'm from Emory. Emory is Georgia's business equivalent in Atlanta. So Emory and Georgia do a lot of stuff together. So Georgia Tech, I mean, basically anything with them I think is solid. So they're kind of one of those universities where like, you know, anything to do with them and technical skills, I would trust. I've heard good things about the program. I haven't done any specific research into it, so take what I'm saying with a grain of salt. Just that I do trust the Georgia Tech name. If I saw someone come into my, like interview queue with a Georgia Tech technical degree, I would take that very seriously. ChemTech7, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Fellow chemist wanting to career transition. I have an MBA. Let's see. I have an MBA, data analyst skills, decent at Python, R, and SQL. No dashboard Tableau experience. I never feel like I know enough to apply to jobs. Okay, so first thing I would do, I would build up a little bit of Tableau experience. So go ahead and check out my Tableau video. It should be one of my first videos inside on my YouTube channel. So go ahead and check that out. Tableau, you can learn it in a weekend. And let's see, you have an MBA, data analysis skills. I would say you probably know enough to apply to a data analyst job. Are you sure you want to be a data analyst though? If you have an MBA, do you really want to be a data analyst? I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do, just that you have an MBA is a really cool degree to have. Is that what you really want to do? And if it is, go ahead. I feel like you probably have enough to apply to jobs. I would say spend one weekend learning Tableau and then really hammer home your SQL skills. Make sure you're saying decent at Python, R, and SQL. Go ahead and hammer home those SQL skills. Again, if you watch my course and you can do the entire thing, like all the content in my course without looking through it, or without like watching me do it, then I would say you're probably ready for most SQL exams. And I would, just keep applying. Given that you have no real world experience, this job is going to be the hardest one ever to get. But I definitely recommend putting your best effort into it. All right, let's see what we have next, going in order. So as you guys can probably tell, I basically never have time to finish all the questions that I'm given. So I do apologize for that ahead of time. And if you haven't already, make sure you like the live stream. It's a great way to show YouTube that this is something that people like to watch. Ceiling fan, is Python/R needed for entry-level data analyst position, or could I just start by having solid knowledge of SQL? You could probably just start with a solid knowledge of SQL. Check out my data analyst roadmap video, linked in the description below. It has all the information you need for that. Daniel, I can mod for you. Thanks. No, that would be. I've had a couple of people offer. I really need to seriously take people up on that. I don't know. Do you guys have an opinion on how I should be answering questions? I kind of go top to bottom, and then but the problem is so many questions come in that eventually the more relevant questions are now at the bottom. But I also don't want to encourage people's behavior of just spamming like spamming their question over and over again. So I try not to answer questions. I try not to answer questions like as soon as people ask them unless they're particularly interesting. Also, a lot of questions can be answered with my Data Analyst roadmap video. I try and ignore those questions, especially because I have like link in the description, like the first thing says, go check out this video. So does anyone have any, what if you have a theme for the live stream? You know what, that's a good idea. That's a really good idea. I think that would be a really good way of centering the focus on a specific set of questions, you know? I think that's a really good idea. Okay, so a theme is one way to go about it. I don't know if you guys have any other like opinions on how I could be doing it. Grave D, any advice for selling ourselves for entry-level analysts if we have domain knowledge? I have 4 years working with marketing data and KPIs. Well, if you have 4 years of experience working with marketing data and KPIs, I would not suggest an entry-level position. I would suggest at least an associate-level position. Go ahead and learn SQL. That way you can pass a technical interview. And then on your resume, really exaggerate the data analyst experience that you do have, and make sure you put down under relevant skills that you have SQL skills. That's what I would probably do if I were you. 4 years of experience, though, I don't think you should take an entry-level position. You could use a form to take questions beforehand. I was thinking about that, but then it's not really a live stream, right? I could just turn that into a video, quite honestly. So, can you suggest me some books or sites where I can learn efficient SQL? Ooh, that's a good question. I'm currently reading Designing Data-Intensive Applications. I don't know if there's SQL in this book yet. I haven't gotten to the section of it where there is. Oh, there is. So probably this book, you know, Designing Data-Intensive Applications. That's one book I would recommend. All right, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to get some water. Sorry about that. Looks like you already have an FAQ, but it could be expanded. Yeah, and the only problem with the FAQ is that like it looks like 90% of the people don't even read it. Like the number of repeat questions I get is more than anything, right? Like I can deal with answering the same question over and over again. I feel like it doesn't reward my regular viewers, which I want to do. I want regular viewers to be rewarded. And you know, how often can you watch me answer the exact same question over and over again, right? So yeah, you know, that's kind of the a little bit of the irritation I have with that, to be 100% honest. One option, an FAQ of 10 questions should come with every Q&A, maybe in the description, and questions that match. The FAQ can be ignored. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I could have it like over here also, like on the video. That way it's literally impossible to miss it. Okay, so yeah, we have a couple of ideas over here. I want to improve the YouTube channel as much as I can going into the future. Also, I'm trying to get to 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed already, make sure you subscribe. We're 6,000 subscribers away. My view count is declining, but I will figure out how to deal with that. I think I just have to make better videos, that's all. All right, Calvin, great to hear from you. Currently in a data analyst startup in New York City, hiring for 2 more in September, so my title would change to Senior Data Analyst. Awesome. Want to know if you knew what a good comp range, currently $66K for that. A Senior Data Analyst in New York City, I would say $130,000 to $170,000 a year is what I would say you should be getting paid if the title is Senior Data Analyst. Given that it's a startup, okay, maybe 130. Maybe 110, 120. But yeah, that's kind of what I would say. running doc of the Q&A. Yeah. Trevor, you mentioned DA runs parallel to DS. How would a DA make the transition to DS aside from a master's degree? Okay, so everyone, story time. So I don't know. I think most people probably don't know. I actually recently left Nordstrom. For anyone that didn't know, I was working there as a senior data analyst, and I joined as a senior data engineer at Bet Fanatics, which is it's the betting operation of Fanatics, the company that sells all the sports jerseys. So the funny thing was, anyone that's been following the channel will know that I have actually been gunning for a data scientist position at Nordstrom for a while. And I was going through the promotion cycle. I basically clinched it as far as I can tell. When I submitted my 2 weeks, they, kind of offered to expedite it and everything. But I basically clinched it. But the opportunity to work at what was effectively a startup, because Bet Fanatics is just starting up their operation, was too cool to is too cool to ignore, and so I joined them. So now I'm a senior data engineer, which is why I'm reading that book, Designing Data Intensive Applications. So the channel will still continue to talk about data science and analytics as well, because obviously most of my career is geared towards that. And now that I was able to secure that data science position, I feel a lot more secure in just saying I know how to teach data science as well. But I will probably be adding data engineering content to my channel as well, because it's what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be doing a lot of learning in the process as well. So thank you guys so much for all the support you've offered the channel and offered me to encourage me to get into that position, because I know people have asked me about my promotion every couple of weeks, and it's really nice to see that we have like a group of friends over here where we keep up with all of each other. So awesome to hear. Let's see. Jack Barkowski, thank you so much, but it's okay. I mean, it happens with YouTube. It happens with YouTube. I have accomplished what I wanted to with this channel. I wanted to help people out and make some money along the way, and I've done both those things. So more than happy with that. So Ishan, that is designing data-intensive applications. Oh, hey, wait, what? Wait, Dan, you just applied to Bet Fanatics. Wait, for real? I'll go look for your application. Wait, that's really cool. What'd you apply for? Content about transitioning from analytics to engineering would be a great niche. I think engineering education would be the next gold rush and data science dies down. I do agree. So for anyone wondering where data science and analytics is going, I don't think it's going anywhere, but I think data engineering is going to see, it's already seeing a huge explosion, if only because data science and analytics only works well when the engineering backend is performed appropriately. So you design apps. I am not 100% sure what I do right now because I kind of just started. But yeah, for the Salesforce admin role. Okay, hey, I'll go see if I can pull up your application and put in a good word or two. Oh, speaking of which, if you guys want to hear a little bit more about my transition, there is this great YouTuber, Sophia Yang, and she actually did a bit of an interview with me that I recommend watching. And her YouTube channel is great, especially if you want to do more advanced data science stuff than what I have. So I recommend watching that interview, and it's on her YouTube channel. Jack Barkowski, I would agree. All right, we have about 10 more minutes. A deal, great to hear. And thank you for all the congrats, everyone. Would you advise starting as a data analyst before moving into data science? So the benefit of starting off as a data analyst is that you can become a data scientist without a master's degree. If you want to go straight into data science, you kind of need a master's degree. And when I say that, right, what I mean is if you want to do hardcore data science, because I've met people with a data science title, but their work really is more that of a data analyst. I think even Joe Matek, when he was, when he said he was a data scientist back years and years ago at Facebook, it was more of an advanced data analyst role more than a proper data science role, because that's kind of how Facebook organizes their roles. But yeah, that is something I would say. Okay, let's see if I can. I want to see if I miss any interesting questions. Anurag, how much maths is required for landing a job as an entry-level data analyst? Not that much. I would say very little, honestly. Trevor Lane, how difficult is it to get a company to pay for a master's as a DA for said company? I wouldn't say it's hard. It really just depends on policy. Like paying for your master's degree, my experience has been it's always just a point of policy. Either a company does it or they don't. Like they don't pay for some people and not for others, is kind of my understanding. The problem I see is that a lot of companies also demand that you give 2 years of service to the company after or X years of service after they pay for your master's, which nothing wrong with that. If you're going to take it though, I would recommend seeing what the breakage clause on that is. Whenever a company gives you money, like a big chunk of money all at once, and it's not like a bonus or something, right? Like where really what a bonus is it's for performance over the course of a year. I would always recommend looking at what the breakage clauses for that chunk of money is, because usually companies tie strings to you getting a bunch of money at once. So signing bonuses are a really common thing what they'll tie strings to. These days, I'm starting to see companies that expect you to stay for 2 years in order to keep your signing bonus in full, which nothing wrong with, but it's I think that's a fairly new concept. I think it used to be just 1 year. So if they're going to pay for your degree, make sure you understand what the breakage clause is on that, because if, for example, they pay for it and then they ask you to stay for 2 years and you stay for 1 year and they ask for all the money back, I may not take that deal because depending on how expensive your master's program is and really how much they're offering, because most companies don't pay for the whole thing is my understanding. They pay for like a set amount and then you'll have to make up the rest. It may not make any sense. So for example, one of the companies I worked at offered, I think, about $60,000 for a master's degree. And as a single dude, I only have to take care of myself. Like I have a girlfriend, but I only have to take care of myself. $60,000 over 2 years is really not that much money. I can save that myself, especially if I have a master's degree because I'd get a better job. So these are things you need to consider before you take that deal. See what the breakage clause is on those things. So this is my life right now. It's just like unlimited spam calls all the time. It's genuinely extremely annoying, because I remember back when I was in college, right? If someone called me on my phone, I could just pick up the call because it was very unlikely that it was a spam caller. Like, people only called if they actually wanted to call you. But now, like, I never pick up my phone, and then like my address book is just, or not my address book, my phone book is just like filled with different my phone book is just filled with like voicemails and stuff that I missed. All right, guys, so that is going to be it for me today. I gotta head out. Thank you guys so much for your time today. I hope you have a great